Hi folks, this is Kramer of the IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Marvel Studio Lab. This is the fourth video. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been discussing that we need to apply a certain script to all Active Directory users when they log in to the domain on any PC. On any PC on the domain, we need to apply certain things on the user in his first login on any machine on the domain. This script is called Active Directory Login script. Okay, it contains some steps or some lines. Every line will execute a certain command or a certain or will do a certain step. Okay, for example, one of the lines in the script will have the icon of this PC appearing on the desktop, because by default the Windows 10 profile or any user, when he logs into a Windows 10 operating system, this PC icon doesn't appear automatically. So the script will have this PC icon appearing on the desktop, and then it will change the text of this PC to reflect what? To reflect the name of the computer. Okay, so this is a part of the script, and another part, it will install the English and Arabic keyboard layout, and then it will change the time zone of the machine to reflect Cairo time zone, and to hide the Cortana from the taskbar, and it will do a couple of things. So all of these are something or lines in the script. We have discussed it in details, and we have discussed where is the location of the login script and where is the location of the registry keys in the script, because there is some lines in the script that will apply certain commands or certain configuration. This configuration it is in some files in a certain location. So we have discussed the location of the script and the registry keys that will be applied by the login script and their location. And then we have discussed that if we need to apply this login script, we need to have different permissions and different folders to be shared, so this login script can be applied to all of the users in the domain. And then we need to inform every user of the location of the Active Directory login script. This is done also from the profile tab in the properties setting for the user in the Active Directory. And then we begin configuring 9 group policies. Okay, and we have discussed in detail each group policy. Okay, and the conditions for a successful implementation of a group policy. The group policy should be successfully applied if you successfully implement 2 conditions. The first condition is where this group policy will be applied, the location or the organizational unit that this group policy will be applied to, and to which object in this organizational unit the group policy will be applied to. So you need to have 2 things, the location and the object that group policy will be applied to. And then at the end also we have discussed the concept of the file server, why we use a file server and what is the benefits of using a file server, and how to use the file server in combination with folders that we will in the future share. Okay, how this with the shared folders, okay, will use it in our benefit. Okay, and how we can control the access of the users on our shared folders using permissions. Okay, so we have a file server. This file server contains some folders that we will share it to all of the departments, okay, or certain departments. Okay, and we will put certain permissions on these shared folders, so every user in a department will have certain rights or certain things to do with the his folder or with the department share folder and the files inside the folder. Okay, and we will make a group policy, something called mapping group policy, to map the shared folders or the department shared folders to the users, and they map them as a network map drive which will have a letter and have a name. Okay, and at the end also we have discussed what is a WSOS server. It's an abbreviation of Windows Server Update Services, and the benefits of using a WSOS. Okay, and we have 2 group policies that will be related to the WSOS server. These two group policies will inform the servers and the workstations with the IP of the WSOS server and the name of the WSOS server, okay, and will apply certain or it will implement a certain policy for downloading, installing, and restarting the PCs. So the WSOS policy will inform, for example, the workstations how the updates will be downloaded from the WSOS, and how the updates will be installed from the WSOS, and how the workstations will be restarted if the updates or the process of installing the update needed the restarting of the machine. This will be done for the workstations and for the servers, okay. But for the servers, we will only use the WSOS group policy applied to the server to only download the updates and leave the installation of the updates and the restarting of the servers to the admin, okay. So we have two group policies. Each will inform the workstations and the servers with the IP address and the name of the WSOS server, and another part of the group policy, it will dictate how the updates will be downloaded, installed on every workstation or on every server, okay. So we have discussed this in a graphical or in a PowerPoint presentation. We need to implement it physically, or we need to see how this is implemented practically, okay. So all of this we have discussed in the previous video. Please refer to my previous video if you need more details. This is a little bit of a brief summary. So let's begin. Here we will begin the installation, or we'll begin working with the Active Directory Logon script. So here we will log into the domain controller. And then we will begin applying the Active Directory Logon script. Here we can see this is the Logon script. It's mycomputer.bat. We need to copy this script, okay, and put it in C Windows sysvol scripts, or it is shared, the scripts folder, it is shared as netlogin, okay. So we need to put this script in this location. Here we need to have a note that this 5 or this 4 registry keys, we didn't inform the script with their location, so we need to have, or tell him the location. This is missed, okay. We have a folder named backgrounds, okay, and we will share it, okay, that contains these 4 registry keys. So we need to tell him the location. We need, before every registry key, we need to tell him the location of this registry key. So this is a little bit of a note, you need to take care of it. So here we will begin copying this mycomputer.bat and put it in C Windows sysvol scripts, or the domain and then netlogin, okay. So you will make run, and then we will type the name of the domain, okay, which is marvel.local, and then we will type netlogin. This is, or this, it is exactly the same as you type C Windows sysvol then scripts folder. This is the same, okay. This is the share name of the scripts folder. So here we can see it, marvel.local then scripts, okay. So here we can see that marvel.local sysvol scripts, okay, this is the same as you type C Windows sysvol scripts. Or there is another thing, okay, here you can get a little bit further here. So if you type this one again, or you can type marvel.local/netlogin, okay. So here you can type, okay, just a moment here. So here you can go directly to netlogin, or you can open sysvol and then open marvel.local, then you open the scripts folder. So you can go directly to the netlogin, which is the scripts folder. It's C Windows sysvol scripts. You can access it through this marvel.local netlogin, or you can access marvel.local sysvol, as we will do now. And then if you open marvel.local shortcut and then scripts. So this is two ways, okay? You can, and then you need to paste the script here, okay? And then you can get the file extension, and then we need to inform all of the users with the name of the script, okay? Their location or the location of the script, it is already informed to the users automatically by the Active Directory, so, or the Active Directory knows where to get the script. We need only to inform the users of the Active Directory with the name of the script, okay? So here we will choose all of the users in the domain, then right click and properties, and then we will go to the profile tab, and then we will click login script, and then we will type the name of the script. Remember that we have all of the users except the IT and the organizational unit users, and then we have the IT in the admins organizational unit, so we need also to select them all, and then properties, and then profile, and then login script, and then to type the name of the login script, and then apply and OK. So here we have put the script in its location, and we have informed the users of the Active Directory with the name of the script, and the Active Directory already knows the location of the script. So now we have done this. We need now to apply the group policies, okay? First of all, what is this? This is different group policy templates. As I said before, that we can through using the group policy to control the Windows setting in all of the PCs in the domain. You cannot only through the group policy control the Windows setting in all of the PCs in the domain, but you can control different programs setting. For example, you can control from the group policy the setting of the Firefox in all of the PCs in the domain, the setting of the Chrome in all of the PCs in the domain, the Office setting in all of the PCs in the domain. So how we can do this? By default, the group policy only lets you configure or control the Windows setting in all of the PCs in the domain. So if we need to add additional, or we need to the group policy to control things more than the Windows setting, so we need to add something called group policy templates to the group policy center restore location. So we have the group policy templates of the Firefox, the Google Chrome, and the Office. All of these are in this location, so we will copy them and then put them in the group policy center restore location. So by adding them there, your group policy templates will be, or the group policy will contain the Windows group policy templates and all of the third-party group policy templates. And by having these group policy templates, you can, through the group policy management console, control the Windows setting, the Firefox setting, the Office setting, the Chrome setting, the Classic Shell setting on all of the PCs in the domain. So we will do this now. We will copy it. So we'll go to the sysboard. Remember that we have our policies, then policy definitions. This is the group policy center restore location, and then we will paste it here. As we will see later, if you open the group policy management console, you will see some group policies related to the Office, some group policies related to the Firefox, some policies related to the Chrome. So for example, from the group policy management console, you can implement or force a certain home page on all of the Firefox browsers, or a home page on all of the Chrome browsers, okay? So now we have copied all of the group policy templates. Okay, so here it is, and then we need to do something here. We need to share this folder. Remember, in the previous video I have told you that we need to share the background folders and give the Active Directory users permissions on this folder, so they can apply the registry keys in the Active Directory login script. So you need to have certain permissions on this folder so the users in the Active Directory can run the certain registry keys that we have discussed in the previous video. So we need to share it. Okay, so here we will share it, properties, and then we will have it at sharing. Okay, and then advanced sharing, and then share this folder. Okay, permissions. Okay, and remove everyone and add domain users. This is a group that contains all of the users in the domain, so we can use it. Okay, we have another group in our Active Directory called Marvel All Users. It is the same as domain users, and we will give them read permission. Okay, and don't need to give them change. Okay, so we can give them read only, it's enough. Okay, so we will add again the Marvel All Users. This is the same as the domain users. It contains all of the users in the domain. So here we will give this two Active Directory groups. Okay, read permission on the folder. Domain users, it is a Active Directory group that is created by default when you install the Active Directory. Okay, Marvel users, it is created by us, so we have created manually. Okay, or through using the PowerShell script. So here we have both having change permissions. It is enough to give them read. Okay, so we will tell him apply and okay. We need only to give them read, and then here I will add the IT group. Okay, so you can add the IT to have full control over the folders. We have the IT group, and then this is the SMB share permissions. We need to give them this is full control for the IT. We need to give them NTFS share permissions, so we will go there and then we add the three groups. And I said before, we have two permissions to make it more safe. Okay, domain users. Okay, and then we will have we give them. Okay, we will add also the Marvel underscore all users. And then we will add the IT. Okay, and then we give them full control. Pause, and then we will work again. ثانية واحدة حاضر. So let's continue, guys. Here we will begin. We have done the permissions on the backgrounds folders. Okay, I think after that we will begin configuring the different group policies, but let me first see if we have already finished the part concerning the Active Directory Logon script. So here we remember that there is a program called idle logoff. It will be on the C partition, and this idle logoff folder contains a program that, so here is the program of idle logoff. This is a program that will have a folder on the C drive. Okay, so we will have a folder called idle logoff on the C partition, and it will contain the program of idle logoff. This will be on every PC in the domain, and then we have a line in the script in the Active Directory to run this program. Okay, and make it watch the PC in the background, and if there is idle activity on the PC for 3000 seconds, it will log off the machine. Okay, so this is it. So the script will work. And then we need to begin working with the group policies, I think. Let's see here for a moment. First of all, I need to install the classic shell. This is a program that I said before will change the Windows Server start menu and the Windows 10 start menu to look more like the Windows 7 start menu. So here we will install the classic shell. Remember that we have two group policies that will control the setting of this program, so we need to have it installed on the server, and of course it needs to be installed on the workstations. Finish. And here is the group policy. First of all, I need to show you all a little bit of something here. Here we have, if you go to the group policy VM, here I have the group policies, the 9 group policies that I was talking about. I have them already there and configured. I have exported them from a previous lab and they are here. Okay, so we have 9 group policies. They are already configured and exported. What we need to do only here in this lab is to import them in our marvel.local domain, and then they will work automatically, so we don't need to configure them again. It is already configured and it is exported from another lab. We need only to import them in this domain, but this will be done in indirect way. We need first to go to the group policy management console and then create 7 blank group policies with the same names of the exported group policies that we are referring to now, and then we import every filled group policy or configured group policy to its correspondent blank policy with its same name. So for example, we will have here a group policy called advanced users group policy. This is that will open a USB and DVD for the users. This is here, it is the exported one. We need to make a blank one and call it the same name, and then we import the filled one to the blank one. Okay, so we will have 9 blank group policies, and then we will import this 9 filled or pre-configured group policies to the 9 blanket group policies. Okay, so let's do this. So we will go to the group policy management console, and then we will go to the domain, and then we need to go there and go to the group policy objects, and then right click and configure, or right click and make a new group policy. So here we will take the name of this group policy, and then we will tell him right click and make a new group policy, and you will name it. Okay, we have only 2 group policies created before, and this automatically by the Active Directory, which is default domain policy and default domain controllers policy. We'll make a new one, and this is for the classic shell for the IT, classic shell admin group policy, and then we'll have the classic shell limited group policy, which will be for the users, normal users. Okay, and then we'll do this here, admin, no, not admin, limited. Okay, then limited. Then we have the group policy that will not the default domain policy. We have default users group policy. This will disable USB and DVD for the users. Okay, and then the mapping policy, which will map the shared folders for the departments. Okay, and then right click new, then make it here mapping policy, and then we have the WSOS policy. Okay, and you will do it here, right click new, and then add it, WSOS policy, and then we will import every one of them, of these blank group policies. We will import the filled group policy or the pre-configured group policy to it. But I need to have a little bit of an advice. We have already a blank here we have the default domain policy, and we have already a group policy exported from another lab with the same name. Okay, I encourage you not to import default domain policies exported from previous videos. You need to do it manually. So you need to here configure this group policy item by item. I don't encourage you to export a default domain policy from a previous domain or something, because this will make a lot of conflicts. You need to be very careful when you work with the default domain policy and the default domain controllers policy. So we will import all of the other policies, and you need to be here very careful not to import a pre-configured group policy in this one. Okay, so here as for my lab, I will import it already normally, but take care that you need to make this group policy item by item. Okay, so here we'll tell him import setting, and then we will go and have our folder that contains our exported group policies. We go to the D go to the D and then go to the Active Directory policies and group policy VM. Okay, and then next, and then we will export the first group policy, okay, which is group policy or advanced users group policy. If there is any errors, it will appear here, so it's succeeded. And then we will do it here. We'll tell him import setting, next, 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 and then we'll have the classic shell policy admin, next, next, and then finish, and then okay, and then the classic shell policy limited, import setting, and then next, next, and then next. There's the classic shell policy limited. So we are importing every pre-configured group policy to its blank group policy correspondent, or it's the same name or the same name to the group policy which is blank. Okay, so here we have the default domain policy. Take care, as I said before, we need not to do this step because it is very dangerous, so you need to make it one by one. But here I will import it because we are in a lab. So here we can see that there is some errors that had appeared. Okay, if you have done this a little bit here. So if we imported the default domain policy, next, then next, so here we can see that again we have seen a little bit of some errors here, so we need to be very careful. In the default users group policy, that will disable USB and DVD. Next, next, and then default users group policy, next, next, and then finish. Okay, and then the mapping policy, import setting, and of course we will configure the mapping policy and the WSOS policy, because even though it is already exported from another lab, we need to change the setting of it because the WSOS server name will be changed, and the mapping of the shared folders, maybe the names of the folders is changed. Okay, so we need to configure them, but not in this video. So here we have imported all of the group policies that we need. So here, for example, we have a group policy that we need to install something called 7-zip. This is a program for compressing and decompressing zip files. We need this program to be installed automatically on all of the workstations in the domain. So we will do this through the WSOS policy. We will go and tell him software. So here we will tell him software installation. Here I tell him I need to have, here I have the program as the program package or the program installation file. It is in .msi file. So you need to have, if you need to deploy a software on a lot of PCs in the domain, the extension of the program that you need to deploy should be .msi. It is preferred to be .msi to be easy to deploy or install. So for example, if you need to install 7-zip, the program, on all of the PCs in the domain, so you need to have the executable file for this software to be .msi. Okay, so here what we will do, and we need to have the program in a shared folder so all of the users can access it. Okay, so this group policy, you need to have the program on a shared folder so all of the users can access it, so it will be installed on all of the PCs. So we'll put it in the background folder. I will take the 7-zip program and put it in the backgrounds shared folder. Okay, so here this is the backgrounds, but here what I am doing here, I am putting it on a local. Okay, this is not a network location, so it's telling me you need to put it on a shared. Here we can see the just a moment. So if here we can see that there is something, it's telling me it's not a network location. If this package is not available from a network drive, clients will not be able to install. Are you sure you want to deploy this package using this path? So this path should be a shared network location, so the users can see it and install the program. Okay, so here what we will do, the backgrounds folder is already shared, so I will go and take the location of the file. So here we will open and then tell him, okay, here we can see that the start menu is changed, so here we tell him run. Okay, and then we will tell him to get the shared folder. So here, for example, let me show you all, it's not background, so we can go there a little bit further here, sorry, again. So here this is Marvel. Okay, this is the name of the server. Okay, and then the name of the share, which is backgrounds. Okay, so here it is. Okay, this is the backgrounds folder, and we have the 7-zip program here. Okay, so we will copy it, and then we will go to the group policy and tell him to deploy the program. So this is the program of 7-zip. Here it is, it's in this location. So we'll tell him software installation, and then new, and then package, and then here we will put the location, the network location, and then click enter, and then we add the program and tell him assigned, and then by this step this program should be installed automatically as soon as the user logs into the machine. Okay, through the domain, of course. And then we have put this group policy. Here we need to do something after creating all of these group policies and import their setting from previously exported group policies. We need to attach every group policy to a certain organizational unit, and to tell the group policy management console which objects to be applied in this organizational unit. So the group policy need to be attached to an organizational unit and to be attached to a certain Active Directory object, so it can be applied to it. Okay, so we'll do this now. Remember the graph that I have put in the previous video. So here we need the WSOS policy to be applied to the terminals. Okay, remember this, the graph. And then we will have the mapping policy to be applied to the domain. The robots also, WSOS will be applied to the robots. So we have 2 organizational units, and it will be applied to the group, Active Directory group called authenticated users. Okay, so here we have the default domain policy, it is already there. We need to configure it. Okay, so to apply a certain background and a certain screensaver and a certain lock screen to all of the users at the domain. So here we have the background, or we have the folder that contains the background. I need to copy the background and the screensaver and everything and put it in the backgrounds shared folder, so I can configure my group policy. Okay, and tell him to get the background and the screensaver and everything from this location. Okay, and by the way, if the users if you want the users to apply a certain background and a certain screensaver and a certain lock screen, you should put it on a folder and share it so they can access it. Okay, so here we will go and have the control panel. Here if you have, okay, let me show you, but we get here to the moment. Here we can see that there is something called force specific default lock screen and login image. Okay, so you will tell him the location, and this is the background shared folder, and this is the JPG or the photo that will be applied as a lock screen. Okay, and this is in the control panel in administrative templates. Okay, so you go to administrative templates in the computer configuration section and apply force specific default lock screen and login. Okay, so here we can see that we apply a certain lock screen, prevent changing of this lock screen, and prevent enabling lock screen camera. So we have these 3 group policies it is under control panel, personalize in the computer configuration. This is for the lock screen. We will configure the background and the screensaver from the users section. Okay, so here this is the background desktop wallpaper. So here we can see that this is the desktop wallpaper. It is in administrative templates. Okay, desktop. Okay, desktop in the user's configuration setting. It's desktop wallpaper enabled. Here you can begin adding some items also to prohibit, for example, changing it. But let's first, this is the desktop. This is the background, and we have tell him the location of this background. So it is in Marvel, DC Marvel. This is the name of the PC, and this is the shared folder, and this is the JPG that will be applied as a background, and this is will be stretched. Okay, and then we need to apply a certain screensaver. This is it. We can see here that it is in the user configuration, administrative templates, desktop. Okay, and then we go to the background folder. Here, because I didn't put the background, so here I will choose a photo. Okay, for example, this photo will be the background, so I will take it, okay, and put it in the shared background folders and rename it to be from 02 to be backgrounds.jpg or background.jpg. Okay, to be inconsistent with the group policy that we have configured from a couple of seconds. Okay, so here we'll put here paste. Here we can see that there is a JPG called backgrounds. We will delete it and rename this 02 JPG to be named background. Okay, or we can put it with another name. Here I will delete it. Okay, and then we will rename it this one to be the background. Okay, remember that this is the location that the group policy will go and apply the background and the lock screen and the screensaver. Okay, and remember we still have, or there is something missing, and this is the theme. Okay, so we will apply also a certain theme. What is the theme? Windows theme. It is related to the menus, the font of the menus in the Windows, the color of the menus in the Windows, and certain setting to the menu. Okay, so this also we will have a certain theme to be applied. Okay, so here we put it there, paste in the background folders. All of the backgrounds, screensavers and themes, it is in the background shared folder. So here what we will do, we will go to the control panel and then personalize, and then we will have, okay, load a specific theme, and here you can see that we have to force a specific screensaver. Okay, so this is it, and we will give it the screensaver timeout. So if you leave your PC without working or without any activity, it will have the screensaver appearing, and it will be for, or this screensaver will appear after idle activity of 15 minutes. Okay, so here we can see the personalize. No, I think we need to have the one for the theme. Okay, so here we'll go to personalize, and then we have to force a specific screensaver. Okay, but we need to tell him the location of this screensaver, and by the way, the screensaver should be of extension of .scr. Okay, here this is the load specific theme, and then we will tell him it is in D Marvel 01. This is the name of the server / backgrounds. This is the folder that is shared, and the theme it is here. Okay, so here we tell him backgrounds. Okay, copy it and tell him paste, and then here we tell him the name of the theme. Okay, which is Avengers.theme. Okay, here it is. Okay, then we will put it here in the put it in the group policy, and then we'll tell him apply and OK. And then I have already a screensaver for Marvel. I also put it in the background shared folder for specific screensaver. And then we can tell him to have a screensaver timeout. This is the time that the screensaver will appear after leaving the PC without activity. So if you leave your PC without activity for 15 minutes, the screensaver will appear. And then to log in again to your PC, you need, and make the screensaver disappear, you need to have a password. Put your Active Directory username password, okay, or to put your Active Directory password, okay. And we tell him to prevent changing this screensaver, so we don't need the user to change the screensaver. We can tell him to prevent changing desktop icons and prevent changing desktop background. This is also a good thing. I don't need the user to change the desktop background or to change desktop setting, okay, and to prevent changing the screensaver, okay. All of this will be configured. Okay, here I just have some confusion between the configuration of the screensavers and something. It is always some part it is in the configuration computer configuration part, and some are in the user configuration part, okay. I think here we need to pass it really quickly here. So here we will go again to personalize, and then we tell him to have a screensaver timeout. It will be 900 seconds, which is equivalent to 15 minutes. So this is the time to enable, or the time that the computer will wait, then apply the screensaver. But this if you don't have an activity, or if you leave the computer idle without activity for a certain time. So here I have my screensaver. I will put it here. So I have already made a screensaver. We have to put it in the background folder. So I think here they do something. I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I'm checking something. No, I think we can pause it also real quickly here. So, okay, so we'll go there, and then we have the, I will paste here, or I have my screensaver. So I have my screensaver here. This is marvel.scr. This is the screensaver. We will put it in the background folders, and then we will configure the group policy to point to this screensaver, okay. Then edit, and then begin configuring the screensaver policies, and then administrative templates. As we can see here, there is something here. You can see that the group policies have some items related to the Office, and some items related to the Adobe Reader, and something related to the Firefox. So this is where you can configure the setting for the Office and apply it to all of the PCs in the domain, or the setting for the classic shell and apply it to all of the PCs in the domain, and the Adobe Reader and apply it to all of the PCs in the domain. So here from these items you can control the different setting for the different programs on all of your PCs in the domain, not only the Windows setting but different third-party program setting, okay. This after adding the group policy templates, of course, that we have copied from a couple of minutes. So here we will go to personalize, and I'll tell him to force a specific screensaver enable. and then give him the location. So we need to have it a full location, not only the name of the file. So it will be DC Marvel 01, this is the name of the server, then the name of the shared folder that contains the screensaver, then the screensaver name. Okay, so this is it, slash this marvel.scr, apply and OK. And then we tell him to have a screensaver timeout, number of seconds to wait to enable the screensaver, enable it for 900 seconds, which is 14 minutes or 15 minutes I think, and then prevent changing of the screensaver. So we'll prevent the user from changing the screensaver, and to change the background, so we'll tell him also, or prevent the user from changing the background, and then we tell him to enable the screensaver. So if you have the screensaver option disabled from his part, I will enable it automatically, okay, because he can disable the screensaver option altogether, but by this we force him to enable the screensaver. And then I think we need to tell him prevent changing the background, desktop background. So here we are enforce the user to use a certain background, a certain screensaver, a certain lock screen, and he will not be able to change it if he wants. Okay, then tell him to prevent changing desktop background and prevent him from disabling the screensaver option. Okay, so here we tell him password protect, and also if he needs the screensaver to disappear, he needs to type a password. This password will be his Active Directory username password. Okay, and then we need to tell him to prevent the changing background, enable, apply and OK. So this was not configured, so I didn't import, or this was not included with the imported default domain policy that I have from another lab. So now we have did the different setting. We need to see it how it is applied. Now we need to attach every group policy to each correspondent organizational unit and Active Directory object. So here we have the default, or we have the classic shell admin attached to the admins, and then the classic shell limited attached to the users. Okay, so here we can see it is attached to users organizational unit, and it will be applied to authenticated users. So this is the location and the group, okay, or the object, the two conditions. Okay, then the default domain policy will be applied to default users group policy will be applied to the users. Okay, here it is. Okay, will be applied to the users, and then we have the group policy limited also will be applied to the users. So here I'm attaching different group policy to different objects. So here we can see that there is 3 group policies that will be applied to the organizational unit users, and it will be applied to certain Active Directory objects in this organizational unit. We will see that now in a moment. It is consistent with the graph that I have showed you all in the previous video or the presentation. We will work with it now. Then the mapping group policy will be applied to the domain, so it will be applied to all of the domain and all of the organizational units under the domain. Okay, so here you have the mapping group policy. It will be applied on the top high level. It will be applied to the marvel.local. Here we can see that the default domain policy, it is applied to the domain level and all of the organizational units under the domain. So default domain policy will be applied to MS, RST, admins, robots, so and so and so, because it is at the top. And we have the mapping group policy also will be applied at the top. So if this applied at the top, it means it will be applied to all of the objects under it. Okay, then you need to take, we will do some configuration here, because we need to apply certain group policies to certain groups in the organizational unit. We will configure this now, so bear with me. Advanced users group policy. Here remember that this container contains all of the users in my domain except the IT, which is in the admin's organizational unit. So here in this organizational unit I need to disable USB and DVD for some users and to enable USB and DVD for some users, okay, and they are in the same organizational unit. So how I can solve this problem? I will configure it, or I will use the groups. So for example, here there is some users in this organizational unit will be in a group Active Directory called Marvel Default, and there is some users in this organizational unit will be in an Active Directory group called Advanced or Marvel Advanced. So here I will tell him that I need this Advanced Users Group policy to be applied to the users in this organizational unit, but on one condition: he should be a member of Marvel Advanced. Okay, this will open the USB and DVD, and I need to apply the default users group policy. I will apply it to this organizational unit, okay, that contains all of the users, but on one condition: the users should be a member of Marvel underscore default. Okay, so I will control each group policy to be applied by using the Active Directory group policy. Okay, Active Directory group, sorry. So here we will tell him remove, and then here we can see that there is a little bit of a warning here. Remember that this is the Advanced Users Group policy. We will open USB and DVD for a group called Marvel Advanced. He is telling me if you remove authenticated users and put any other group, you should be careful, because this step, okay, if you add another group other than authenticated users, the group policy will not be applied. Okay, so how I can, after removing authenticated users and added Marvel Advanced group, how this group policy will be applied? You need to make an additional step to go to delegation and add a group called Domain Computers. This is a default Active Directory group created by default. When you install the Active Directory, it contains all of the computers in the domain. So what you will do, you will add the group other than authenticated users, and then go to delegation and give the Domain Computers read permission on this group policy. So what if I didn't do this? I just only remove authenticated users and add Marvel Advanced users, and that's it. The group policy will not be applied. So you need to, after removing the authenticated user and adding any other Active Directory group, for this group policy to be applied, you need to go to delegation, okay, and add Domain Computers and give it read permissions. As I said before, if you have any other group other than the authenticated users and you remove it and put it there, this will not make the group policy to be applied. You need to have the delegation, and this is what exactly it says to you in this warning. It's saying the group policy requires each computer account to have permission to read the group policy here. Okay, so to do this, if you remove the authenticated users, you need to go and add the Domain Computers or authenticated users security group with at least read permission. Okay, so you need to add the Domain Computers group in the delegation tab. So here we'll tell him okay, and then we need to tell him okay after that. I will do this for the Advanced Users Group and the Default Users Group, okay, and the Limited, of course, because I need it to be applied to a certain group of Active Directory. So here I'll tell him Marvel Advanced, especially if there is a lot of users in one place. So for example, why I am doing this, why I am using the security filter, because this container contains both users that I need, some of them to have the USB and DVD opened and the USB and DVD blocked, so they are in one container. So how I can tell the group policy to differentiate between the users that I need them to have the USB and DVD opened and the USB closed through the security filtering? Okay, that's it, or that's it. Okay, so now we go to delegation tab, and then we need to tell him add Domain Computers. okay, and then tell him okay, and then tell him read permission. Then scope, we will work with the default group policy also. We go to the default policy admin. It is already, I don't need it, I leave it authenticated users because all of the users in this organizational unit are IT, so authenticated users, it is the best choice. Here the limited also, you can leave the authenticated users because all of the users in the organizational unit here, I need them to have this applied to them, so it's not great, or it's not bad to leave authenticated users. Okay, Marvel default users, so here it is, and then go to the delegation tab and then add default users or Marvel default. Sorry, this is computer, or sorry, computers in the delegation tab, and give it read permission. And then we'll go to the default users. Okay, this is so let's continue, guys. Here we will leave or remove authenticated users and put the Marvel default. And then go to the delegation tab and add domain computers. So here now we have the group policy completely configured and it is ready to be applied. We need to restart the server and then begin log in with the user and see if the group policy will be applied. For example, my Active Directory username, which is Karim Raouf, so we will see that in a moment, but we need to restart the server and then log in and see if the login script will be applied, Active Directory login script and the group policies. Remember that we have a default or an error in the login script. We didn't tell him the location of the registry keys. Okay, I think here we need to I don't know what is it. I think we have something here still missing. Okay, so here what we will do, we'll go to the properties. This is my user, okay, and I need to reset the password, so I need to have my password reset so I can log in with it, okay, in the domain. Okay, so I will put a password, okay, I will make a reset for my password, okay, so I can log in to the machine and see if different group policies will be applied and the login script will be applied. Remember that we have a problem that the registry keys, the login script doesn't know the location of this registry keys. Okay, so we'll make a restart and see if the login script will be applied. So I think we can pause it also real quickly here. Go there, restarting, and then here we go, and then we'll go and applying the group policy. We will see here that he will begin applying different group policies by name, one by one. Okay. Here is applying computer setting, and he will begin here applying different group policies one by one. The default to domain policy, the other, all of the group policies that we have been configuring, default to domain policy, default registry keys, everything. Okay, and then here we'll begin. Here we can see that we have also welcome message. This was configured in the default domain policy. Here we can see that this is an old one. Here is one from my my hotel. Okay, so this is should be changed. This I need it to be Marvel. Okay, Marvel instead of Sheraton Miramar. This is called a welcome message or a warning message. This you can put in your domain. Unauthorized access or use of this system is prohibited. All access and use may be monitored and recorded. So here this is a warning message. So if any user is not a member of the marvel.local domain, his access will be monitored and it is not authorized, because this is only authorized for the users in the domain. Okay, I will show you all how this also can be changed. Okay, and then you will put the password. This is the Marvel domain, and then I put my username and password Raouf, and then the password, and then we need to begin seeing if the login script will be applied. A part of the login script will be applied, the one concerning this PC icon to appear on desktop and changing it to the computer name. As for the registry keys, it will not be applied because I didn't tell the login script where is the location of this registry keys. Okay, so we'll wait for a second. And then begin working with it. Okay, so here we can see that, and we will see that there is a background. We will see that the group policy will apply the background and a lot of things. So we can wait for a second. Here we can see that the background is applied. The PC, this PC icon appeared, and it was this PC text replaced with the name of the server. Okay, it's DC Marble 01, but we can see that the keyboard is not added yet. The keyboard, English and Arabic keyboard, and the other things is not applied because the registry keys are not applied, because in the script I didn't tell him the location of these registry keys. Here we can see that the theme is applied. So this is this theme. Okay, the color of the menu, of the start menu, the fonts of the menu, all of these are in the Avenger theme. Okay, the one that I have configured in the group policy. Okay, here I need to tell him the lock, to see the lock screen. Actually in the virtual environment I didn't succeed to see the lock screen. Okay, so this was a problem. It works in the real environment, okay, not the virtual, but this is the bug. I have tried it on Hyper-V, it doesn't work. On the VM Workstation Pro, it doesn't work. On the VirtualBox, it didn't work. Okay, so I don't know why. Okay, as for the lock screen, okay, as for the screensaver, it will work. Okay, here this is the DVD of the Windows Server 2019. I'm just ejecting the DVD. Here we can see that the English and Arabic keyboard layout wasn't installed. Okay, and the performance setting also, so this is not also correct. We can see here the performance setting is not also working. So this is the end of our video. In the upcoming video we will correct the problem of the login script by telling the login script the location of the registry keys, so we can see the English and Arabic keyboard layout added and the other setting applied. And after that we will go further and begin configuring the file server and the DHCP. Of this video is informative for you all, and I would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.